most famous producer in Costa Rica. He is the 5th generation of farmer in his family. He's always very kind to speak well about his family and heritage that you want to promote, but he's also a very modern farmer in many ways, such as the wide diversity of varieties that he grows, which makes Volcan Azul a portfolio of flavors that is almost unlimited. He's also very dedicated to sustainability, as we heard from the speak just right before. Please welcome Alejo Castro.
First, I want to thank Christophe and all the Plastic Cafe team for inviting me, together with some of the best coffee producers in the world. So we're really proud to be here. First, like you said, I'm Alejo Castro. I'm a 7th generation coffee producer from both sides. From the side of my father, they started in the 1830s to produce and export. From the side of my mother in the 1890s. And we also know that we have been trading coffee for over 200 years. So coffee is in our blood, and our aim with coffee is to honor our ancestors. So being here and that the coffees are being appreciated in France and all around the world, it makes us really proud.
Great. I can't wait to taste your coffee. I'm actually liking my 2 cups. If the baristas can hear me well. So, Alejo, you grow so many different varieties on your farm. How many precisely?
It's over 40 varieties.
Over 40 varieties.
We export around 30 varieties. Some of them they're in the research process to see if they're good enough. But like I said, our idea is to honor our ancestors, but how? And I understand that one of the best ways to have the best coffee in the world is to have a wide variety. Like in wines, you cannot say that this wine is the best in the world. Some people will like this one, another person maybe likes Pinot Noir, another grape. So in coffee it's the same. So to be closer to have the best coffee is the best way is having many flavors. We sell coffee in South Africa, we sell coffee in all of Asia, Australia, Europe, America. So in every market there's a different, they like different flavors, and that's why we're bringing so many varieties. Start with blue or
the one you want?
I think it's better to start with white.
Okay,
just
sure.
in case.
Yeah, good. That's a good instruction. And first and foremost, what struck me the most in this cup, the white one, is its acidity and liveliness. I'm very gazed with this coffee, as I used to use this coffee to compete on the world stage. But I'm amazed about how we can imagine Costa Rican coffees. And here we have SL28, which is not a variety that is very often found in Costa Rica, and we have such a different profile. How is it? How do you like this coffee, and how does it represent what you do with so many varieties?
Well, first, these 2 coffees won an award in Cup of Excellence. So this is the first year we submit a fully washed, which is very nice, because fully washed is like the most traditional process in our family. In the 1840s, they were washing coffees. They didn't have the other processes, honeys, naturals, or anaerobic processes. So it's true, at some point we are making experiments, but at other point we are also coming back to the tradition. So for me it's really nice to have an award with one of our most traditional processes.
This is something we'll speak about because very shortly, when your family started the coffee business, at the beginning, the only coffee processing that was achieved was the washed.
That's exactly. And 2 varieties only.
At
the beginning, in the 1800s, was Typica and Bourbon.
Okay. And so years after years, you came with more varieties and more innovative fabrication process. And I know that you spoke about the Cup of Excellence, as every year you submit some lots and you have outstanding results, like this year, and thank you for bringing this Cup of Excellence lots. We know how rare this is. And at the beginning, when you won your first awards with the geisha variety, it was a honey process, right?
It was a red honey process.
It was a red honey process,
right?
And that was a switch that you did from rush to red honey.
Exactly. The first process that we tried, different to the wash, was honey. Then we moved into naturals, and now we are doing a lot of research with anaerobic processes.
Which is the coffee that we have on the left, right? The blue. All right. Strike, you have this wider mouthfeel and a lot of sweetness, and it's really rich and large. This is perhaps due to the geisha variety. This is also perhaps due to this anaerobic fermentation, which gives a lot of sweetness and really stresses this exotic notes that we have. That's really interesting right now that you do now put to the Cup of Excellence this kind of fermentation. So at the beginning you were only producing wash, then switched to only more naturals, more anaerobic fermentation. What's the division of the fermentations regarding each other? Do you produce more anaerobics or more honey or more wash?
In total it's just less than 10% anaerobic. It requires more time, more attention, and so it's of course a lower volume of those processes.
Yeah, and this is something also we don't often say, that doing these special fermentations is really costful in terms of the time that it requires and also the risk that you expose the coffee to. So of course, from going to a bigger facility with washed and volume coffee, going to very specific flavors and looking to like open up every coffee with a special fermentation is a challenge.
It's a challenge. You can mess up a coffee if you don't do it in the right way. It will be a number funky coffee that maybe some people like, but almost nobody likes them. So yeah, you can mess the coffees, and then you have to sell it as a lower quality. But for me, it was very important with the anaerobics. We understand Terroir. We went with Christophe to some wine farms last week. So the interaction with the tradition, it has a lot to do with the final outcome of the coffees. So for me as a child, I grew up always surrounded by coffee farms, and what my favorite thing to do when the cherries are ripe is to pick them and eat them. So before then we were washing them, and we were just wasting the mucilage and the flavors that we have from the cherries. So for me personally, what I want to do with our coffees is try to transmit some of the flavors that I get at the field. I cannot take all of you to the farm. You're all invited, but not all of you will go. So my idea as a farmer is try to transmit those flavors to our customers.
And when we taste some Volcan Azul coffees, it's really amazing how they taste different, because you use such different varieties and you have such a panel of different fermentations. But at the same time, there is a line, something that links all these cups together. And for me, as my perception, is its acidity. In all of your coffees, even, of course, we are tasting the very fancy one, but even in the 80 points coffee that you produce, there is always this refreshing acidity that is not so usual in Costa Rica. Would you say that comes from something in particular that you are aware of?
It's a sum of factors. Like I told you, you are the experts explaining terroir. So we have a way of managing the farms, but also we have the topography, we have the altitude, we have the microclimates. So all the sum of those factors is giving us this particular flavor to our farm. That's what makes this industry very interesting, because from the other producers you will find other flavors which are also very interesting.
And something really interesting as well with you is we could say, like very shortly thinking, that that would be the fact of fermentation. Like we can feel your touch in your coffees due to the fermentation, but actually when we do cuppings with your coffees, we can immediately know where the coffees from Volcan Azul, where are they on the table, even if they are washed once. Which is very nice because that's a true representation of then your seed and your terroir and everything going on. There is also something very specifically new that most of coffee people, not producers, but barista and roasters are not aware of, is that a variety name is not enough to know about what's behind the cup. So, for instance, at Volcan Azul, you grow geisha, but you actually have how many different lineage of geisha do you have?
Is that geisha has been spreading out many places. So we have gotten geishas from different farms. Sometimes they even change the tree, the shape, even the color. We have yellow geisha. When the cherry is ripe, it's yellow. Normally you see the red cherries in coffee. And at the end, the profile is different. But we have to test all of those lines with our conditions. It's not like if we get those seeds from a farm, we won't have exactly the same outcome that they have. So that's why we're bringing different lines and we're trying to see which one is the best one for our conditions.
I remember staying a few times in your farm and just cutting like dozens of geisha with the same process, and that all geishas tasted differently. So we were like very picky on which lots we were willing to buy, because of course each geisha was a different profile, and that's often something we don't hear about. So yeah, each coffee is truly unique. And you invested a lot as well. You are very dedicated to sustainability in the way to preserve the resources that you have. And one of the key factors of doing a sustainable agriculture in Volcan Azul is being aware of that there is a lot of humidity. So you need to take that into consideration. So you cannot necessarily, like in some other farms or countries, do a lot of shade over your coffee trees. What are your other strategies to make this farming sustainable?
Well, first, that's changing. So it's getting warmer. So because in the past, the traditional way of agriculture in this region was without shade, because we have some fungus diseases. So under the shade, they develop faster. But that's changing. There's also different ways of managing the farms. Now from the forest that you saw some pictures in my brother's presentation, we can bring the leaves and we can do a fermentation of those leaves and then apply them to the coffee trees. So we are adding more fungus, more microorganisms from our own forest. And with that, we won't leave so much space to the bad fungus, because most of the fungus are good. So the idea is to change this older mentality of farming and going into a newer one with less agrochemicals. That's the first step, to diminish the amount of agrochemicals. Also, in all the new plantations that we have, we're planting trees, at least 7 types of trees from autochthonous trees that will help us with the sustainability. But not only that, also they will help us with the quality of the coffee, because it's getting warmer. With the shade, we can lower the temperatures. We can also diminish the amount of light. So the cherries, they will grow slowly, and we will have more complexity in our coffees. So sustainability, of course, is good for the environment, but it's also very important for the quality of the coffees. And finally, sustainability is crucial for us as a family. We have been producing for over 180 years, and of course we don't want to be the last generation producing coffee. We want our sons and daughters to continue with the tradition and for many generations to come.
I know you have some kids, so you are willing to let them a very nice place they can perhaps take if they want, or do something else. Thank you very much, Alejo. Thank you for your time. Thank you.